In this quick review, we want to talk about different sampling methods, or the main sampling methods you'll discuss in your class. And so basically it's this: how do we collect us some data? If we, in the previous quick review, we talked about, how you could collect a random sample to estimate the value of a population parameter. So what we want to do here is we want to discuss the following methods. We want to discuss something called simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, and convenience sampling. So we'll start with the most important one, simple random sampling. Simple random sampling is a procedure in which each member of the population is chosen strictly by chance. This is what's called probability sampling. And each member of the population is equally likely to be chosen. The way I like to think about this is it's like drawing names from a hat. Like if you think about here's poor hat, whatever, but you have all these different people in it. Someone like Jeff, Amy, Melissa, whatever, all the way down to Matt. If you were to pull names at random from the hat, everybody is strictly chosen by chance, and each person is equally likely to be chosen. This method is considered the gold standard of sampling and should be the preferred method whenever possible. This is the most natural and easy understood method of probability sampling. However, it does have some drawbacks. It may fail to provide sufficient coverage when information about subpopulations is required. For example, if you need to collect data on all different subgroups, right, and one subgroup is incredibly small compared to the other, if you randomly select people, you might not get that very small subgroup. And sometimes it may be impractical when members of the population are widely scattered geographically. Not so much these days with the advent of cellular phones, but could be impractical. So sometimes we need different methods. All right, and so I want to talk about these different methods: systematic, stratified, cluster, and convenience sampling with this example. Suppose the local government of this place called the Villages in Florida. And what this is a retirement community. It's just a large, spans multiple counties retirement community in Florida. And so the question to them is, would you support raising local taxes to fund K through 12 schools? Okay, so let's talk about how you might collect a sample of people. So again, what we want to do is we want to sample from individuals in the villages and ask them if they would support this, yes or no question. Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to use that sample to estimate for the entire population of the villages. Okay. So here, let's talk about this systematic sampling first. Okay. So a systematic sample is obtained by selecting every kth individual or object from a population. So what this would mean, imagine you had all the individuals lined up. I know it seems silly, but every single person who lives in this community, we have them lined up. So here's the first person, here's the second, all the way down to, I don't know how many people actually live in the villages, but let's just say it's 100,000. Okay. What I mean by every kth individual, this would be like, hey, select every fifth individual. So we would talk to the fifth person. We'd talk to the 10th person, and so on. And then what we would do is we'd take all those people and form them together, and that would be our sample. All right, that would be a systematic sample. All right, so next we have what's called a stratified, cluster, and convenience. Excuse me. All right, so let's take this stratified sample. So a stratified sample is obtained by separating the population into non-overlapping groups and then obtaining a simple random sample from within each group. And these individuals within each stratum, and what I mean by stratum is group, should be similar in some way. All right, so here's how it would work in our example. Suppose you take the villages and you divide them up into different groups. And so what our groups might be is the counties within the villages. Right, so this village is huge. It spans multiple counties. So let's just say there's 4 counties within the villages. What you would do is then you would say, okay, within county 1, let's randomly select 100 people. Then go to the next county. Within the next county, let's select another 100 people. And then the third county, another 100. And then another 100. And from the fourth county. Then you combine the samples from each county. And that total combined, in this case of 400 individuals, that would be our full sample. All right, let's now talk about cluster. And so a cluster sample is obtained by selecting all individuals within a randomly selected collection or group of individuals. And so in this case, what this example might be is look at all the neighborhoods, however neighborhoods are defined, within the villages. Okay, so imagine this is the villages, and I'm just going to make this simple, and I'm just, even though there's probably thousands, but I'm just going to say, hey, look, imagine there's 25 different neighborhoods. Okay, so here's neighborhood 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm sorry, 36. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to 30. Sorry, 30 neighborhoods. What this would be is you randomly select neighborhoods. So you have some random element and you would say, okay, I'm going to select neighborhood 2, neighborhood 9, and neighborhood 30. However those numbers or neighborhoods got selected randomly. And then you would combine them. And that's your sample. Okay, the last type of sampling method, it introduces what's called bias in your results, and you have to pay attention, especially when you see this in the news media or in your daily life. When this type of sample is collected, it's not really a great one. And what a convenience sample is a non-random sample that uses readily available results. So when there's no random element to it, it's not a great sample. So in this case, how this might work in the villages is you only ask the people. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm just going to ask the people who live in my neighborhood. If you just ask the people who live in your area, there might be some bias in their responses, and your neighborhood might not represent the entire population as a whole. So this is a poor sampling method. Okay, as always, I hope this quick review on different sampling methods help, and reach out to your instructor for additional help.